All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to Promotech. Thanks for tuning in. Something interesting is happening in the flagship phone world this year. On the surface, the Samsung Galaxy S26 and the Google Pixel 10 look like the usual yearly upgrades: slightly faster chips, slightly brighter screens, slightly better cameras. But under the surface, a few quiet changes are shifting how these phones behave, who they're really built for, and which direction Android itself might be heading next. Let's dive right into the video. Put the Galaxy S26 next to the Pixel 10, and the first surprise isn't the design, it's the philosophy. Samsung is doubling down on power and control, while Google is quietly turning the Pixel into something closer to an AI-first assistant that just happens to be a smartphone. That difference sounds subtle, but when you actually use these devices side by side for a few days, it starts affecting everything from performance to battery life to the way the camera behaves. Take performance, for example. Samsung went all in with the Snapdragon 8 Elite chip, which is essentially built to brute force its way through anything you throw at it. Games launch faster, rendering jobs complete quicker, and sustained workloads stay stable because Samsung clearly prioritized thermal headroom this year. But here's the twist. Google's Tensor G5 inside the Pixel 10 isn't trying to win benchmarks. Instead, it's optimized for on-device AI processing. That means things like voice typing, photo processing, and contextual suggestions feel almost instant. In raw power, Samsung wins easily. In smart behavior, the Pixel sometimes feels like it's thinking ahead of you. And that leads to the second, quiet shift: software direction. Samsung's One UI on the S26 is still packed with features, but it also duplicates a lot of what Android already does. You'll find two versions of certain apps, two ecosystems competing on the same phone. Google, meanwhile, keeps pushing the Pixel closer to what Android should feel like. Cleaner interface, fewer duplicated tools, and AI features that are more tightly woven into everyday tasks. The interesting part is that Samsung actually ships Google's Gemini Assistant too, which means even Samsung seems to recognize where Android's future is heading. Now, before we go deeper, a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, Walverse. If you're anything like me and constantly switching between devices, Walverse basically acts as a universal digital hub for your files and productivity tools. It's one of those platforms that quietly solves a problem you didn't realize you had until you start using it. I'll leave a link down below if you want to check it out. Back to the phones, because the camera story here is more interesting than the megapixel number suggests. Samsung's camera system on the S26 is still the more flexible setup. Multiple zoom ranges, advanced pro controls, and the ability to shoot video with more manual control. It's the phone that feels built for creators who like tweaking settings. But the Pixel 10 continues doing what Pixel phones have always done, letting software do the heavy lifting. Motion shots, dynamic range, color accuracy. The Pixel often produces photos that look more realistic straight out of the camera without touching a single setting. Samsung gives you control. Google gives you consistency. Battery life is another area where the difference isn't obvious until you live with both. The Galaxy S26 technically has the more powerful hardware and slightly faster charging, but the Pixel 10 often lasts surprisingly long because the Tensor chip aggressively manages background tasks and AI processes. Samsung feels like a performance machine. The Pixel feels like it's conserving energy behind the scenes. And here's the part most people don't talk about. When you step back and look at these phones, they're almost like two competing visions of the future. Samsung believes the future flagship should be the most powerful device possible with every feature available. Google believes the future smartphone should quietly handle things for you using AI. So the real question isn't just which phone is better right now. The bigger question is which philosophy actually wins over the next 5 years as AI becomes the center of the smartphone experience. Before we wrap up, a quick reminder. Over 70% of people watching these videos aren't subscribed yet. If you enjoy deeper tech discussions like this, where we go beyond specs and actually analyze what companies are doing behind the scenes, consider subscribing and joining the community. That's what this channel is all about. Because when you look at the Galaxy S26 and the Pixel 10, this comparison isn't just about two phones anymore. It might actually be a preview of the direction Android itself is about to take. And one of these companies may already be several steps ahead. Take care and stay safe. I'll see you in the next one soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.